So I just got dropped off here in the middle of nowhere, about an hour east of Las Vegas, along Interstate 15. About to start a 675-mile hike south along the Colorado River corridor to the Kofa National Wildlife Refuge in southern Arizona. I barely got any sleep last night. Pretty typical, I think, for me. Night before one of these big hikes. Kind of getting into the mindset of, of a long adventure. It's not something that happens right away on day one. You at least got to get one night under your belt out in the wild before you kind of start to feel at home. Really impressive scenery already. A couple caves up there. Not too bad for day one so far, you know. I'm really about an hour and a half into this hike, and scenery is awesome right off the bat, you know. So what I'm gonna do now is cross this valley. I'm gonna head up to the top of that ridge line, walk this off trail for a couple of miles, drop down, cross the valley, and then enter Valley of Fire State Park on the other side. And I'm off trail now, and it's going to be pretty typical of this route. Less than 5% of this route is going to be on actual hiking trails. There may be a few in Valley of Fire State Park, and there may be a few in the Kofa National Wildlife Refuge towards the end. So in the beginning and the end, could be some trails, but other than that, yeah, I'm pretty much going to be off trail. So that's the theme of this route. It's a barrel cactus, and the whole top is just gone. You can see right into it. Barrel cactus lobotomy right there. And the geology of this area is fascinating. You can see the way these rocks are just, basically tilted up, which makes Lake Mead a pretty interesting area and very colorful at that. Follow the wash here, and then it takes you to this pour off, and this one's going to be a bit tricky to climb down. I mean, it's not incredibly tall or anything, it's just the the angle of it and everything. It's a bit of an overhang, so I'm going to try my luck over here and see if I can shimmy my way down. How's this one going to work? How's this one going to work? Another pour off here. There's been quite a few of these just in this one wash. I'll be doing a lot of washes too on this hike, so I'm going to be getting pretty good at this kind of stuff towards the end of it. I just slipped and fell like 3 times in a row, so I get my first little wound of the trip. So I think on that note, I'm going to take my first break. In years past, I used to bring a pair of gloves just for bushwhacking, just to wear in general to kind of protect your hands. I got out of the habit of doing it, probably to, in the pursuit of being, light, ultralight. For this trip, I know I'm going to be doing a lot of bushwhacking, and I brought some gloves for this one. These are my fishing gloves. They've got like a pretty nice, soft kind of feel to them. They're all like stiff and rigid and everything. Fingerless are the way to go, so I'm going to be wearing these, I think, from now on, just protect my hands a little bit. And it's the wash I was following for a while. It just led me down to the valley floor. These have opened up here, and wow, these red rocks. And I am really digging these colorful canyons. And this is what this area is known for, the Valley of Fire. And now what I need to do is work my way up to the top of this ridge line. Got my work cut out for me for day one. I did make it easy on myself, that's for sure. At least this hike's starting off very interesting and not just kind of like a long, boring lead up. And this is what I've come up so far. I started down there with the red rocks. And now I'm gonna work my way up to the top. And there's a herd of like 8 bighorn sheep down there. And this is the spot these sheep were laying down. Kind of see the little divots there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's going to be a nice little ridgeline traverse here along the top to that saddle over there. About to cross the top of this ridge. It's called Weiser Ridge. And now this is the first view of Valley of Fire State Park. Wow. Look at all those red rocks. That's just incredible. So the traverse of this ridge, Weiser Ridge, is going to be about 2 miles or so. And then I'm going to drop down across the valley over to Valley of Fire State Park. And check it out, there's a natural arch right there. So it's a good echo. You could literally hear it reverberate down the entire canyon. And so the route I have planned is kind of goes up the ridgeline, goes up over this little hump here, and then drops down a little canyon. I see this, and it's kind of tempting to avoid the climb up over the hill, but you can tell how steep that is. It's probably not going to be doable. This is all too steep to really work with. I mean, you know, maybe it's possible, but I'm gonna find a better way. Stick to the original plan. Oh, check this out. Big cave. It's like a cave with an arch. Yeah. Call it Arch Cave. You see the hole through it there? Now it's time to drop down the ridgeline. I'm going to take this little valley. It's probably a good, oh boy, 40-foot minimum just to like the side part right there. And then, I mean, all the way down, I mean, I don't know, 80 foot, something like that. Onto this first ledge. This is the awkward part, just getting over that lip. Where the handholds are not what I was hoping for on this. All right, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm already like part of the way down. The next step is I don't see where it's gonna happen. All right, I'm gonna back out of this one. You know, if you're not feeling it, There we go. All right. This is the best route I saw on the map when I did my planning, so I'm not really sure where that leaves me now. I have to try and find another way down. Day one, already into the thick of the adventure, I guess. Oh, I just saw another bighorn sheep. He just ran right down here. And this is the next ravine over. It's kind of looking like more of the same. Everything's good until you get to the choke point, the pour off. And they've all got a pour off running at a similar elevation. So no matter which canyon you take, you're going to be facing some sort of challenge to get down. Oh man, this one's not a whole lot better than the other one. Oh, I can't do anything with that over there. All right, well, that one didn't work out, so back uphill a little bit more, and I'm going to continue down the ridge line and just keep searching every drainage till I can find my way down. There's a ton of caves around here. There's another one there. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some larger cave systems tucked away in these hills somewhere. And here's yet another canyon, and you know, it looks like another pour off. I don't really have a choice but to stop and check every single one of them. It just means going all the way down there and going all the way back up if it doesn't work out. That ain't gonna happen. Holy shit. Wow. I'm not sure, but I think this is starting to suck. Well, it's 10 after 4 now. It's early November, so the sun goes down here around 6 o'clock. Got 2 hours of daylight. My water cache's on the other side of that valley, also on the other side of those red rocks. It'd be nice to get to that point tonight. I can't tell if this is going to work out or not yet, but this ridge in front of me is the least steep. Let's see how this works. Can't quite hug the wall as close as I'd like it. Should have taken my camera off for this one. Smell that sage. Actually, it does smell pretty good, not gonna lie. All right. And if you fall here, the barrel cactus will save you. All right. It took a little longer than I expected. Places like the Wind River Range, you can go up, you know, some really, really steep terrain on the map. It's just, the terrain lets you do it. Here, there's like 39-foot cliffs hiding in a 40-foot contour line, you know? And there's one last look at the cliff face I just came down. And here's a look back up at the last pour off that I tried before the route down that I found that was ultimately successful. So this was the one that kind of had like the narrow window. That's a solid, I don't know, 150 feet. It's pretty interesting rock formations here, but you know, pretty easy to see like the paths that it was taking and the shapes that it took on. Yeah, the rock in this canyon is very interesting. You can see these like parallel running vertical dikes, especially here on this face. You know, you could see it from the top, you know, but from this angle, it, you know, really accentuates it. Yeah, and this wash is pretty slow going. It's a lot of pour-offs and stuff to climb over. They're all climbable and very manageable, but they're still slow. If it were easy, it would just be the way. Wow, it's a pretty cool wash. Narrow, colorful. Very cool. Yeah, more interesting rocks here. Very colorful. And look at the striations, the patterns and everything on this. Well, I got about 30 minutes of daylight left. So probably not going to make it to my water cache. I think it's safe to say that. And that's it for the wash. I have now met the main wash that runs through the valley. I believe it's called the Anderson Wash. Maybe another 15 minutes of, usable light. Well, the bugs are out like crazy, but I really don't feel like setting my tent up. I'm just gonna cowboy camp anyway. And here's a look at last night's campsite. Worked out really well. Beautiful night. The bugs weren't too bad. Tons of stars. So that's where I camped, right down there last night. So working my way up all this. Glad I didn't do it in the dark. There's a lot of thorn bushes and stuff. And now I've crested to the top of this little pass. And really, like right where this canyon meets the larger canyon there is where I've got my water cache. Lots of thorn bushes. And now I'm into a new valley here. This is basically the 4x4 hot spot. Tons of tracks everywhere, tons of sand. Not fun to walk through. All right, well, moment of truth. Let's see if my water cache is still here. And you can kind of see the sand ends here and becomes rock. And that's why I chose this spot, because no one would be able to see footprints going up the rock. I think it was in here, actually. All right. It's there. I'm drinking water this morning. I'm glad this water cache worked out. If it wasn't for this, would have had a 30-mile water carry to start this hike. And that was to a really nasty water source too. Now I gotta walk about 4 miles through this sand to enter Valley of Fire State Park. Then I'll connect with some of the only hiking trails along this entire route. Oh wow, check that out. Pretty cool arch. Well, that's pretty neat. This valley's a pretty interesting one to walk through. It's not even named on my map. I think I'll call it Razor Valley for all the 4x4 tracks. You really would have to spend a lot of time just exploring all the little I guess the little hidden features of this canyon to really appreciate it. Little guy here, little guy there. It's probably a bicycle. Ancient bicycle. Some other stuff up here. These ones are pretty faded. Maybe not the best preserved that I've ever seen. pretty cool nonetheless. And this is the back side of the rock with the petroglyphs. Bunch of little caves and stuff. And pretty cool rock formations. So check out this rock. It's got a little kickstand holding the thing up. How cool is that? There's a look back at the valley I walked this morning. Making some pretty good progress. And I believe I'm kind of approaching the end of it here. And as soon as I get out of this valley, it's gonna be time to empty all the sand out of my shoes. I wanted to wait until I got out of here to do it, because I know if I empty them, we'll just fill right back up again. Man, what a bizarre landscape. This looks like Swiss cheese. Oh, this is our pass. There's a couple bighorn sheep right there. I see at least 3. Just over the hill there, Valley of Fire State Park begins, and there is no backcountry camping in a state park, which is very frustrating. Now I've got to do probably another 18 or 20 miles to get out of Valley of Fire State Park tonight. I finally found myself a little shaded spot. I think it's time to empty out my shoes. They are full of sand. I don't have a whole lot of room left for my feet. How much sand is on the sock? So there's that, and then you got to take out the sole, and then there's a bunch of sand under the sole, and then yet even more in the sock. Oh, jeez. All right, so these were basically new shoes yesterday morning, and the tread is like pretty much just gone. Now this is an old can of beer. Olympia. Tum water? Tum water. What the heck is that? Good luck. The purity and solvent properties of our famous artesian water enable us to attain perfection in the art of brewing. So I've just walked through, we'll say, the lesser visited part of Valley of Fire State Park. And now I'm entering the popular area where pretty much everyone visits. And I'll probably see more hikers here the rest of the entire trip combined. And now I'm hiking to the Fire Wave, which is probably the most popular attraction, I think, in the entire Valley of Fire State Park. Yeah, and the colors here are just incredible. The Valley of Fire State Park. Maybe one of the most colorful desert areas I've ever hiked. Oh, wow, this is cool. Oh, wow. What? This is cool. Yeah, and progress through the Valley of Fire here has been really slow. Not because the terrain is difficult. This is just so damn beautiful. Wow, now this is a view. Pretty much see the entire Valley of Fire State Park from here. Wow. Man, look at that. That is cool. Wow. I'm in a wash now. It's taking me away from the White Domes area, and this should connect me to the Prospect Trail, which is I think 6.8, 7 miles, something like that. Basically the longest actual trail in the park. And a lot of them are pretty like just a wash, really. I mean, it's not really a trail. Oh man, it's so nice and cool down here. I'll tell you what, never get tired of slot canyons. These are just awesome. Short and sweet. That's all she was. All right, well, Prospect Trail, 11 miles total, 5.5 miles to main road. That's really what I'm concerned about, is that 5.5 miles. Got a feeling this 5.5 miles can be kind of slow. Oh, yeah, I say that just as I fall too. And this the general scenery along the Prospect Trail, pretty rugged. Yeah, right up at the top there's a little natural arch. There's been a lot of small ones around here. And I just shimmied my way up this little chute. But I gotta jump in this bush. And in the process of the climb, I dropped my sunglasses. Let's see if I can get them back with this stick. Yep. Man, what a cool trail though. Really digging this. I'm definitely not making the progress through this area that I wanted to. It's pretty typical of these off-trail hikes. You know, you plan this stuff at home. Everything looks good from your, you know, from your chair, from your computer desk, comfort of your home. You get out here and realize, you know, the reality of the situation, and how difficult some of this stuff really can be. You know, and this isn't even really that hard, like compared to what it could be. I think most of today has just been so scenic that it's been slow. So I've got about an hour of daylight left, and then maybe 2.5 miles from the paved road, and then from there, campsite's like a mile away or something like that. All right, and off in the distance there is a campground. And then I could see the main road, and you know, it all looks pretty close, but I've got 40 minutes of daylight. Let's see if we can make it happen. It's pretty packed. Well, I guess the one good thing about heading for that campground, staying there tonight, is that they have water. Almost at the campground. I'm so hungry. Really starting to hit the wall now. So hungry. So now I'm leaving the Arch Rock campground. What I'm going to do is just kind of go up over that little pass. It'll take me to Lattle Rock campground. That's the quickest way to get through this area and continue on the path I want to take. I think I took the wrong gully. Kind of led me to this area where I really can't climb down here. I can't climb down the other way. I think I'm gonna have to turn around and find another way. It's just not gonna happen. I'm really glad to be out of the campsite I stayed at last night. And it kind of reminds me of why I don't like staying in those drive-in campgrounds. Somebody playing some really loud music for several hours into the night, and a screaming, whining toddler. Kid was screaming for a solid half hour this morning. Parents didn't seem to be too bothered by it. And the smell of the toilet. It's like the only thing you could smell in the campground is the porta potty. Small little pour off here. These are always fun little obstacles to work your way around. All right. And these here are the Muddy Mountains. What I'm going to do is basically walk all the way around this mountain range here and come around the other side of it and go back up it. Have a roundabout way to get where I want to go, but I am trying to piece together the most scenic, most adventurous route I can, and sometimes that isn't the most direct line. So I was following the wash that pretty much was taking me in the direction I wanted to go, but I had to leave that wash, and now I'm just kind of going up and over a series of washes. And now I'm basically just kind of plotting my own course across the desert here. And there's just something so satisfying about just kind of setting out into this kind of landscape without any trail. And this is pretty interesting. It looks kind of like petrified wood. Maybe a little bit less petrified than some of the other stuff I found in the past. And this looks like a good break spot to me. A little bit of shade. Maybe a nice seat here. View this really cool little canyon. And this is a pretty cool area. There's a little arch here. There's actually a ton of little arches around. If you look over here, there's another one up there, one right there. That one's a really thin one. Very interesting looking. And finally, I've walked myself out of the Valley of Fire State Park. Now I'm just in the Lake Mead National Recreation Area. And, you know, dispersed camping is allowed wherever you want. And kind of nice to not have to, you know, really worry about that aspect of the hike now. And then off in the distance there, you can see a couple of palm trees. That marks Blue Point Spring, so that's what I'm heading for. It's going to be the first natural water source along this whole trail. And everything's been sparkling in the sun in this area here. This whole entire hillside here is just covered with these crystals. I want to say they're gypsum. Just look at them everywhere. I mean, this whole hillside here. Rocks have always been interesting to me, rocks and minerals. And anytime you see something, you know, little out of the ordinary on the ground, catches your eye, I think that's you know, worth stopping, checking out, and just something interesting to see along the way. You know, spend so much time looking at the ground, you might as well pay attention. And that's the sound of flowing water. This is Blue Point Spring. This is pretty much the source of it, and then the palm trees are a little further down that way, but this whole run here is just like a flowing creek. And while my water filters, I'm gonna give myself a bath. I had a nice little break here at the spring. Filled up with 4 liters, washed up myself, washed my socks, and now it's time to head down the road here. You see a car driving by. That's North Shore Road. That's Lake Mead. That's our first view of Lake Mead right there. And it was a bit of a necessity to kind of come all the way around the mountain range here to this particular spring because it's pretty much the only one around. It's like the only water source. So what other options do you have? You know, the route's pretty much defined by where the water sources are plotted out, and then you need to make your route and connect it in between available water. I love these kind of palms. It's like woolly mammoth palms, all big and burly. Yeah, and this is Roger Spring, and it has brain-eating amoebas. That's why I filled up at Blue Point Spring. And now I'm entering this canyon. It's a pretty steep, narrow canyon. It's gonna get dark pretty quick. It's 5:30, so I got about a half hour. At this point, I'm really just looking for a place to lay my head down for the evening. Oh, this is a rugged canyon. It's gonna be a lot of work tomorrow. I guess the other canyon is the way to go. I'm gonna just take this campsite right below this little pour off here. So I'll just climb my way back down there, and there's a nice gravelly spot. So this bag was completely full of food when I started. It's the end of day 3, and you can see how much food is left in here. This was supposed to be 4 days worth of food. And if I had my normal appetite, this one bag would be 4 days of food for sure. And I do this to myself every time. I just bring way too much food on the first section. I should know myself better. I just don't eat as much in the beginning. So it's dinner time, and I don't really want any of this food. None of it tastes good right now. But next week it'll be fine. Next week I'll be chowing down on this stuff. Hey! So I'm kind of like backed into this canyon here. They definitely sound close. Some pretty active coyotes. So last night was kind of an interesting night. Around 3 a.m. the coyotes started moving in. They were pretty close. Probably one of those little side canyons over there or something. Really not that afraid of coyotes, you know, like from a, attack standpoint, being attacked. More or less, just don't want them picking apart my gear and everything that's laying outside the tent. So anyways, I hear these coyotes, and I instinctively do my, I think it's a very excellent barking dog impression. And I then instantly realized that they are dogs, and they are not afraid of this barking sound, right? So it kind of drew them in a little bit further. They came back at 6 a.m., chucked a few rocks out of the tent, and everything was fine. And now I kind of have to do the dog impression, right? Alright, well, I'm gonna move back up this canyon here and check out that wall that I ran into last night. I mean, it looked pretty steep. At the time, it looked like a dead end, but it was getting dark. Kind of slick rock. Yeah, this rock is pretty slick. And there's just no good handholds here for down climbing. Like literally zero. It's not far, but I don't want to slide down this thing either. Jeez. Well, I made it about halfway up and I just decided it's not worth it. Everywhere I put my feet, when you reach up for a handhold, there's just nothing there. It's slick rock, and if I have to come back down this thing, which there's a good chance I might have to, I have no idea if this canyon is passable or not, I'm gonna have a hard time coming down. What I had planned for today, at least the first half of today, the interesting half of today, is just not gonna happen. I found a nearby rock face that is a lot more climbable, a lot more handholds and footholds. I have no idea if climbing this is gonna get me to a spot that's gonna connect with where I wanna go. And I found this small cave, just a little ways up from the wash down there. Well, I could definitely continue my way up this chute, but on my map it just shows basically, sheer cliffs and stuff the further up you go. So there's really no point, I guess, in climbing any further. And the further I climb, I think it's just going to be harder and harder to get down. And then you're going to forget the route that you took up. And that's kind of a big thing. You need to know exactly which route to take down, because you're going to get yourself in some trouble if you just start trying to down climb random routes. There's gotta be always a thorn bush right in the worst places. Time to turn around. Pretty good footholds on this one. You just got to take your time. Handholds, footholds. They're small, but they'll do. On the other side of the shadow is the canyon I was camping in last night. Came out of this morning, and then there's another one that splits off here. Now this one doesn't go where I want it to go, where I need it to go. But I'm here. I may go up it a ways just to explore it and check it out. Turn around and head back. So I just made my way up that pour off, climbed up a little ways, and the canyon keeps going in the direction that I don't want to go. So this is a beautiful canyon, really, but I think I'm going to use my time to get out of the canyon and head to Echo Bay, just my first resupply. It's probably about, say 8 miles that way. Well, that canyon was pretty much a bust. I really do think it's doable. Somebody that's got the right equipment, the right skills, but I didn't expect everything to work out on this hike. I plot stuff out that looks good, and then you get out there and try it. I think if you take the easy route every time, where's the adventure in that? Sometimes you got to put yourself in those situations where stuff doesn't work out. Here's one last look at the canyon, which, by the way, is not even named. It's not named. It always kind of blows me away when you get a really spectacular canyon that's unnamed. So now I've got about 7 miles of cross-country hiking, and if you kind of see this ridge line here, you follow it to where it ends. That's where I'm headed. There's Echo Bay Campground. There's a series of smaller washes that I was walking along earlier. Above them, they've kind of converged to a little bit larger wash, and this one's called Calico Wash. So I should be able to follow this one most of the way to Echo Bay Campground. Oh, here you go. I was wondering when I was going to find one of these. Tortoiseshell. That is cool to find. Well, I hope this guy had a good life bumbling around in the desert. And over there is like a trailer park. People actually live here, Echo Bay Campground. Trailer park. I don't know, it's kind of weird to me. There's like no services here. It's a really pathetic little tiny store. Not enough here to resupply. I buried myself some food. That was my resupply, so I'm gonna pick that up a little bit later. But for now, I'm gonna get to that store and see if they have a sandwich and a cold Coke or something. While getting there, I passed the upper campground. There's a lower campground down here. And there's a very small store. And then that building way down there is an abandoned restaurant. Really wish that thing was open because I could go for a burger or pizza or something. Something that doesn't come in a wrapper. And this is Echo Bay. And this is the abandoned hotel and a restaurant here at Echo Bay. And the water level would have at some point come pretty far up this. And if you look around here, you can kind of see the line on the mountain there. You know, where it goes from light to dark. That's where the water level was at one point. Somebody destroyed the toilet. Nasty. Oh man, if only this restaurant was still open. Double cheeseburger. Sounds good right now. Well then. Oh, that's great. Room of PI Customs. Nice. Of course, a mattress on the balcony. Alright. It's not often you get to do any urban exploration on these hiking trips, so I'll take that. And now I'm walking Echo Wash. I'm gonna go retrieve my food cache. What I think I'm gonna do is get my food cache and actually Uber into Overton. There's just no food here that I want to eat. I don't want to eat more of the same food. I've just got another bag of food that's exactly like what I have on me that I already don't want to eat. I'm gonna get into Overton, get a motel for the night, get a big ass pizza, burger, whatever. You know, have a huge breakfast in the morning and head out. And I'm hoping just at night rest, some food I want to eat kind of kickstart my appetite a little bit, then I can eat all the crap I have on my back like normal. But to me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to keep pushing on 800 calories a day of food, because eventually you're gonna crash, you're gonna hit that wall. I've been really lucky, I've been doing as well as I have. All right, so about 2 weeks ago, I was here and I buried a food cache somewhere in these hills. Put a little wooden post up on the top of that pile of dirt, kind of mark the spot from far away. I see it, and everything looks intact below it where I buried it. If I move this rock, which is pretty cool, I mean, look at this. I think this is gypsum. I keep saying gypsum, but man, that is cool. So there's that, and under this is my bag. There we have it. A couple of days of food. All right, so a few things about this food cache here. This is the Lake Mead National Recreation Area. I did research, can you cache food in a national recreation area? And of course, I came up blank. So in light of that, I just kind of went ahead and did it. I would probably say it's not legal, and I don't recommend that you do this either. Secondly, you'll notice that it's in a garbage bag. Inside this garbage bag, which I double bagged, is an OP sack. It's an odor-proof bag. I'm a big fan of these odor-proof bags. I've been using these for years and thousands of miles of hiking and have never had an animal encounter with one. And the reason why I put it in a bag instead of, you know, some sort of canister is because it would take, you know, several days of driving and hundreds of dollars in gas to drive around the whole route and bury these. And then after the hike, I would have to come back and pick up the garbage. So, you know, to me, the alternative, burying it in an odor-proof bag like this, that means I can just take the garbage with me, and then I don't have to come back again for a second time. The third and final thing, the reason why I didn't bury it any deeper than I did, I bought a shovel off of eBay, and the first time I put that shovel in the ground, the shovel bent in half. So they sent me a shovel-shaped object, not a functional shovel, you know? So I couldn't really dig in any hard ground. The best I could do was the softest ground possible, and that was right here. At the end of the day, my food's here, no harm, no foul. We're good to go. Walking through this campground and came across this gem of a sign here. No picnicking. Picnics are not allowed in this area. That is awesome. No picnics. So actually Uber won't come out here. At the last minute it says no cars available, even though the whole time it's like, oh, it's gonna be 40 bucks. It's like, oh, cool, you know, that's reasonable, you know? So anyways, had to call a taxi, and I've got a ride coming here in about 45 minutes. So in the meantime, I've got this beautiful sunset to look at. Not too bad.